Good day, viewers, and welcome to another OnSide SA soccer show. Paul is away at the Cells in Johannesburg, and joining us shortly will be our regular UK correspondent, Stevie Brown. But substituting, as always, for Paul is our Manning Rangers league winner, Gavin Radford. Gav?
Hi, Budge. Good to be back again. I just want to know if anybody can tell me what a penalty is nowadays, because they're either missing them or the referees are just giving them.
Yeah.
So I'm very uncertain as to what the rules are nowadays.
Yeah, so we'll speak to Stevie shortly. In my opinion, I think there's a player's rule and then there's the rule book rule. So hard to take, but anyway, what can we do?
Yeah,
it's just
we'll move on.
More talking points. We kick off as always with our post-net last one standing competition. And heading into round 5, we had 100 entries. 57 were successful. 29 were on Man City, 16 Man United, 11 on Liverpool, and 1 outstanding pick on Crystal Palace. The unfortunate guys that went out were 25 on Tottenham, 12 on Everton, 3 on Newcastle, 2 on Chelsea, and 1 on Brentford. Without doubt, the pick of the round goes to Mark Weinstein, 17-10 Crystal Palace. Brilliant choice. We have 4 ladies still cruising. Janice Lafferty, Tennille Verners, Sue Miller, and Montana Verners. Our 4 internationals still left. Francois Dumy and Tony Cass in Mauritius, and Kevin Power in the UK, and Andrew Riddell, who could be anywhere between Texas and London. 6 former champions remain, being Gary Citron without the E, Greg Pesci, Andrew Riddell, Ernie Wallace, Hassan Maul, and Sean Phillips. Mention to the guys that have got through. It may take a while, but they're worthy of a mention. Phil Gazachivas in Johannesburg, Julian Naidu, Mark Curry, Mark Morgan, Sawa Khan, James Goodman, Ravesh Badassi, Tay Statler, Sean Singleton, Gary Faree, Mark Jackson, Craig Faree, Lawrence and Jared Verners, Gary Grant, Eric Narak, unbelievable, Paul Lafferty has stayed in, Selwyn Elk, Robert and Franz Geet, Colin McCabe, Dave Harker, Rodney van Rensburg, Robbie Burns, Andre van Bussen, Key Story, Bras Goss, Damien van Alphen, Paulo de Kama, and Bafana captain and legend, Neil Tovey. We have 8 guys with multiple entries, and the favourite is the same as last week in Dave Goss. Guys, there's one of you that can pick Arsenal on Friday, so Dave, if you are going to select them, I need your pick by 8 o'clock. The rest of you guys, lunchtime on Saturday. We now go over to our UK correspondent, Steve. Good morning.
Morning, Budge. Morning, Gav.
Morning, Steve.
Right, obviously kick off with Champions League. Chelsea disappointing?
Yeah, look, I mean, they certainly played relatively well in the first half, but, you know, the problem they've got, and it was very evident in the game, is that they were toothless up front. Yeah. You know, the chances fell to Kante and Cucurella, and they weren't confident. They never looked like they were going to score. So ultimately, it was just almost just waiting for a mistake to be made, and Madrid poured forward and game over once they got the first goal. So look, it was a better performance. They showed a lot of effort, but pretty disjointed, you know, overall.
Gav, Lampard making a big difference.
I can't believe this team. They're such an expensive outfit, and they just seem so toothless. Yeah. And I think Steve hit it on the head. They just don't know where the goals are, and you don't know where the goals are going to come from. The further they get into the season with Lampard, I think it's three games, now 3 losses. But they were never going to get past Real Madrid, especially on the current form. Yeah. I think so. The form book held up and Real winning it.
Yeah, no doubt. The thing that I read, I couldn't believe this, Steve. Yeah, they're all trying to blame Lampard. I don't know why he went back. I think he's only going to damage his reputation. But they've got 31 players in the squad and 21 players out on loan. How is that allowed? Possible? Yeah, you name it. It's crazy.
It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, they will have to, whoever comes in is going to, you know, probably going to want some of his own players. So there's going to be a huge clear out. I was reading this morning that a lot of the newer players who have come in, they've all got clauses that if they fail to get into Europe, which is obviously fairly evident now, they have to take a 30% pay cut. So Reece James has just signed a £200,000 a week contract, but he will be losing 60,000 a week from next season. But I guess they're still getting paid silly money, so it doesn't hurt. But it's a shambles there at the moment, and there doesn't. And obviously with the report that Todd Bowley was bawling the players out in the dressing room last Saturday, I don't think that's helping morale either.
Yeah, all he's trying to do is save face in front of the fans, but he's got no idea. Firing, that Ramina, the Russian lady who ran it, Petacek. I heard they even fired the groundsman and his son. That's how bad it is. But couldn't happen to a nicer club. Abramovich, in my opinion, helped ruin English football. And unfortunately, it's just money, money, money. I watched a bit of the Napoli AC Milan, Steve. They got caught again, sucker punched. I felt for, Napoli. AC Milan, good luck to them, but I just hope they don't get into the final. Did you see the highlights, or did you watch it?
I just saw highlights, and
yeah.
I think before, when the draw was made, I think people obviously fancied Napoli.
Yeah.
They're having such an amazing season, but in the end, it was too little, too late for them. Obviously, they missed Osimhen in the first leg, and he scored late, but it was all over by then. And Giroud missing a penalty, it could have been even more convincing.
Yeah.
Steve, this is where I think that the league is still the best trophy to win, because you look at a team like AC Milan, their form throughout the season was a bit shoddy, but they come into a cup competition where they start hitting a bit of form, and then you have a dream run in the competition.
Yeah.
I mean, Man City toyed with Chelsea, they toyed with AC Milan during the group stages, and they are on the semi-finals. So you need to hit form at the right time.
Well, the lucky teams win the cup because they get the draws. I know in Europe you've got to play home and away, but it's not their fault, Gav. But the Italians, when it gets to knockouts, they're specialists in it. Bayern Munich won, Man City won. Steve, what did you think?
Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, it was. City weren't quite at it as they were in the game last week at the Etihad. And they gave the ball away a lot, I felt, at times. But Bayern couldn't quite sort of punish them. Again, they're suffering without Lewandowski's goals.
Yeah.
They had a few. Sane, admitted afterwards that he missed a couple of chances. But but for the penalty miss. In fact, both penalties. You might sort of cover those soft penalties.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Upper Kamano had another nightmare, slipped over, let Haaland in, and that was game over. Yeah. And ultimately, over the two legs, City thoroughly deserved it.
Yeah, Gav, your penalties.
The penalty is going to haunt me, Steve. I think we had like 20,000 to come on the bet. But Man City, you're never going to lose the tie. I think they just went in there not to lose the game. They just sat back, watched it, absorbed it all up. They just had Haaland up front.
Yeah.
They kept the ball for long periods. They just nullified the Bayern threat, and then move on to the semi-finals.
Yeah, I think you saw the difference between the leagues. Man City looked a yard sharper, where Bayern go through the motions in the Bundesliga. They buy the better players from the other German teams, and I was disappointed in them, Steve. I know they didn't have Lewandowski, but Choupo-Moting, I watched him play at Stoke. He tries hard, but in any other league he wouldn't lead the line, and I was really disappointed. They never tested that Man City back line. The one or two, when Sane did get in, he should have scored, but their back forward, Man City's open. We've seen it all season. They slow at the back, in my opinion, and everyone's raving about Man City. I know I took 14-1 them to win the treble, but I'm not convinced as of yet. Inter Milan, Steve, once Man City scored, I turned over. I must say, some of the goals that they scored, I saw the second and third goals, they looked good. Once it got to 3-1, it was game over. How Benfica got there, I don't know. But Inter Milan, AC Milan, Steve, how do you see it going, other than being a tight affair?
I think it will be. Obviously, it's a derby, home and away. I think, for me, Inter would start as favourites.
Yeah.
I just think they've got a little bit more about them in sort of recent years in the cup. But I think it'll be close. But again, they've got the players that can hurt. Obviously Lukaku and Barella scored again.
Yeah.
I think they've got a decent side, and I think I think it'll be close. I think both games will be close. But for me, I think Inter might just edge it.
All right. Now, the betting, outright betting, Gav, 7-10 Man City, 7-2 Real Madrid, 7-1 Inter, 8-1 AC Milan. Who you want?
Yeah, I think Man City will win it. I think they will get past Madrid. It's going to be a tight affair. The first leg games are so important.
Yeah.
Whoever gets the results in the first game, then they can plan their second leg a lot better. But I'm thinking that Man City on form will be in the final playing AC Milan.
Yeah, Steve, you're on that. You on Real Madrid, Man City, Inter for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that'd be a good final. I mean, I think City have got something to prove. I mean, last season, but for the last couple of minutes, they should have gone through. Yeah. They should have beaten Real. I mean, how they conceded those 2 late goals in injury time almost, I think that'd be probably haunting Pep. So I don't think they'd make that same mistake twice. But as Gav said, the first leg will be crucial. They'll want to go back to the Etihad with certainly not losing. So it's I think they're going to be really, really good games.
Yeah, I just think that Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. expose Aki and that, is it a Kanji? This John Stones strolling into midfield like he's a new Beckenbauer just amazes me. When he's out right and Vinicius Jr.'s out there. But I think Pep will have to change his tactics. He'll bring Kyle Walker, in my opinion. He can't go one-on-one with Vinicius Jr. And Aki too. I know he's a good defender, but at a left back, he's going to get roasted. So everyone jumping on the Man City bandwagon. If ever there's a team that can outplay them, it's Man City. De Bruyne has been a little bit here and there, and if Modric starts dictating, you just never know. That's, in my opinion, the only team that can beat them is Real Madrid. So, but 2 great games to look forward to. Let's hope they both humdingers.
Yeah, I'm going for AC Milan in the other game. I think
AC,
they're the team that's getting a lot of form behind them. So I'm picking the team that's come into form.
Okay.
Maybe they'll show that.
I was back there in the league last week. They drew. They rested all their main players, brought them on 20 minutes to go and couldn't score. Steve, Europa League, Man United disappointing last 20 minutes. I think this is a tough game tonight in Seville. How do you see it going?
Yeah, no, it will be. I think they'll be pleased. I understand that they've got Marcus Rashford, Luke Shaw and Sabitzer back in the squad. Yeah. So they really could do with Marcus Rashford up front. Look, they had that game won at half-time last week. I think Ten Hag is very disappointed with the way they gave it away. Seville haven't shown a lot of form, we know, in La Liga. So, United should go there thinking, look, we can win this game. They were on top for a lot of it last week, but it's going to be more of a test than it should have been. I mean, they should have gone there sort of 2 up potentially, but I'm looking forward to that. It should be a good game, and this is United's real opportunity of getting a trophy, because I'm not sure that they would beat City if they got through to the final in the FA Cup.
You never know. Gav, are you taking even money tonight, Gav?
I just said last week I'm worried about the strike force that we have. Yeah. It's good news that Rashford could be back in the team again, because we started the game so well last week. Yeah. We got the 2-0 and then we just kind of faded into the second half. And 2 own goals. I'm just worried about the 2 centre halves that we have with Maguire and Lindelof. So it's a new pairing again, big competition. Sometimes we seem to fall asleep in the game. Our team's back in again, and Sevilla, not the greatest season this year, but they did finish the game stronger, so they've got a lot of confidence going into this game tonight.
My problem with United is the left back Malaysia. He looks like a schoolboy playing with men. If he doesn't make that mistake, he knocks it out for a corner 2-0. I think it would have stayed 2-0. But, we've all seen it. You 2-0 down, you get 1, nothing to lose, and we were hanging on at the end. I just don't trust. But if Rashford's back, we're miles ahead of this team. But away from home is not easy. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get knocked out, even though my heart is on my sleeve, and let's hope the Red Devils go through. Steve, West Ham surely have got to beat Ghent. I watched the first game. They scored a goal disallowed. They scored a second goal, was allowed. A couple of mistakes at the back, but at home, I think West Ham surely have got to reach the semi-final.
Yeah, I think they will. Ghent took the game to them in the second half, but I would expect them to go through. I think he'll play a pretty strong side. Yeah. They obviously got a bit of confidence from their second half performance, particularly at the weekend against Arsenal. They played very well. So I think that, this is an opportunity, I think, for West Ham to get something out of the season. I think that they'll stay up, and I think that if they can, get close to winning this competition, I think it might just about appease some of the fans. Yeah,
they've got to win something. As long as you win something, the fans are happy. Gav, 5-10 tonight?
Yeah, they should win, Budgie. I mean, their performance against Arsenal last week was fantastic. I mean, the energy levels were great. I thought after the Thursday game, coming into the game against Arsenal, they'll be in trouble. They went 2-0 down. And I thought, okay, they're going to fold, and then they just turned it around. I don't know if Arsenal started to choke a little bit, but West Ham really finished the game strong. So I'm seeing them not to have any issues tonight. I think 5-10 could be a good bet. Yeah,
I think this Thursday, Sunday, I just think it's a bit of a myth. You have a good game Thursday. I know, unless unless you're traveling from Russia, whatever. But when you're fit, you can play all day, every day, in my opinion.
We all love to play games.
You know, so
I'd rather to train. We all wanted to play,
100%,
not train.
so
have a light session, and we want to play.
I know if you want to win the league, we saw with Arsenal last week. Yeah, they had a week to prepare, were nowhere. Man City had a tough game, cruised home. So I think this is a myth. Anyway, on to the league, which the first game is on Friday. If ever there's a mismatch, it should be this one. Arsenal against Southampton, Steve. Surely Arsenal have got to get back to winning ways here.
Well, they have to. I mean, you know, they're in trouble if they don't win that game. I mean, it's desperation for Southampton. I think that, you know, they are looking as if they're going to go now. But Arsenal have to win this, no mistakes. They get ahead, they've got to punish them. They can't sit back and take the foot off the gas. I think they will win. I think they'll win comfortably in the end. But if they don't, then, you know, I heard Gav use the word choke, and I think that's been, you know, levied at them a lot in the last week or two, sort of losing sort of 2-0 leads in 2 games that has let City back in, really. So I think, for me, Arsenal by 2 or 3.
Gav, can Southampton score?
I don't think so, Budgie. I think Arsenal, like Steve says, they'll win comfortably. I think they need 2 or 3 goals and a good performance just to get the fans back up and get the belief going. Because they have taken a dent, letting 2 games slide by. We're leading 2-0 on both occasions. So I'm expecting Arsenal to win 2 or 3-0.
All right, I'm going to go for, well, I have backed over 2.5 goals, both teams to score no. So for me, it's a 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 game for Arsenal. Just worried about Ward-Prowse. He gets on a set piece. He can do danger. But Arsenal to score over 1.5 goals or 2 goals in the first half, 19-10. That caught my attention yesterday. Steve, I know you were a little bit demotivated with your Fulham boys, but I watched them last week. They were superb. If they play like that, they'll roll Leeds, especially the way Leeds are defending. Are you cock-a-hoop now? Your boys will get another victory?
Well, I mean, it was, I have to say, it was, I wasn't expecting that result, in all honesty. Yeah. But he changed tactics, and instead of playing Vinicius, who hasn't been working, he played Dan James up front. Now, Dan James, obviously, is on loan from Leeds. He can't play. Yes. So whether or not he goes with the same tactic but puts somebody else in that position, it obviously seemed to work. I think, look, I think we could win it, but Leeds are hurting, but they've got their next three fixtures are Fulham, Bournemouth, Leicester and Bournemouth. So if they are to get out of it, Leeds, I think they're going to look at those and think we could get points. They were totally destroyed by Liverpool in the second half and by Palace in the second half last week. Yeah. I don't think they'll be as porous at that at the back, but I think that we should certainly go into it with confidence now that we've got to 42 points, and barring some absolute disaster, we are playing Premier League football next season.
Steve, I said to you last week, you ain't going down, so don't worry about it. Gav, Fulham?
I think, like I said last week, I'm not sold on Fulham, but they really played well last week. They could be one of the better value bets for the weekend on the performance. And then looking at Leeds, I mean, they're just leaking goals. So, you know, Fulham at home, I would expect them to win this game. Yeah,
I'm disappointed because Everton, I thought they'd scored 2 goals. It cost us one of our bets. But I watched the game. I watched, Steve. Your boys were superb. I thought your midfield really knocked it around and outplayed them. It was really a decent performance. Both fullbacks were bombing forward. And, you know, it was a bad goal. I thought my man Harrison Reed should have fouled. Was it the ex-Burnley player that scored? But was one-way traffic most of the game, Steve. And as long as you defend properly, I think you'll beat Leeds. But we all know how desperate sides are at the moment. But I think 13-10 is not a bad bet. The next game, I've hummed and hawed which way to go. Brentford, Aston Villa, Steve, convince me.
Well, I'm on Villa. I think that they're playing some lovely football. I mean, second only to Man City in the form table. Completely destroyed Newcastle last week. You know, well worthy of their win, and you know they're playing with such confidence. I mean, Ollie Watkins. You know, I think Gareth Southgate was there to watch him last weekend. He's obviously got his name penciled in, I'm sure, for the matches in the summer, because you know he's behind Haaland. He's the second highest scorer since in the league, right, since the World Cup. So look, you know, Brentford have just stuttered a little bit. Yeah. You know, I think they've done really well, but they have stuttered a little bit. And I think if there was to be a result, I fancy Villa. I think there's a decent odds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got this game as a draw. I think it's a tough game to Brentford.
Yeah.
They're really hard team to break down, a small park, passionate fans. Villa really playing well. You know, Emery's got them really going well. But I just see it's quite a hard team to break down, Brentford, so I'm going to go for the draw.
Yeah, if Paul was here, he'd be all over Brentford. He's been to the ground. He said it's tiny and that's their forte. Things aren't going for Brentford like they were early on in the year. I think there's goals in this, Steve, but you know, I went for Aston Villa to score over 1.5 goals last week at 19-10. They should have had a lot more. I think the same will happen again. Ollie Watkins goes back to Brentford. He'll be on a mission. But if Aston Villa can handle Brentford's direct approach and Ivan Toney, I think they'll win comfortably, but they don't lose too often. So, but I think there's goals in this. This could be 3-2, 2-2, somewhere in there. But Steve, of the two, I agree. I like Aston Villa. The next game, Crystal Palace. The magician Roy Hodgson's working his magic. Steve, can it continue?
Well, yeah, I mean, they look a different side. I mean, having sort of got 8-9 games without a win, all of a sudden, Roy goes there, 3 wins in a row. Yeah. And a good result because they weathered a little bit of pressure against Southampton and then scored a couple of good goals. Look, Everton, you know, I mean, that was a bad result for them last week. You know, they really are still in trouble. I don't think they're going to enjoy going to Selhurst. They've got to take the game to Palace because Palace are, you know, quite happy to sit back and then catch teams on the break. Yeah. And with success, you know, that was Roy's philosophy. You know, when he was there before, very tight at the back, give nothing away, and then burst forward and catch teams on the break. I think if there was to be a winner, I'd fancy Palace. You know, yeah. I think 3 wins in a row. They're looking, you know, they're pretty much safe, I think, with the way they're playing, and I think that they'll get another 2-3 points at the weekend.
Gav?
Yeah, I'm with Steve on Crystal Palace. I made them one of the best bets last weekend at 16-10.
Yeah.
I think Hodgson's done an excellent job since he's been there. I think they've got about 10 goals. Prior to that, they had scored maybe 1 or 2 in Patrick Vieira. But they've won 1, drew 4, and lost 1 of their last 6.
They don't get beat at home. Yeah.
They don't get beat, so it'll be tough to break them down. I think it's a desperate Everton side at the moment. Yeah. They need to get a result. So the longer the game goes, I think they'll get a little bit more desperate, and Palace will catch them. I think Palace is a good bet.
Yeah. The thing, my only concern is Everton, set piece-wise, that's their strength. Against Fulham last week, Fulham pushed out a bit higher. You know, you just never know. Look, I've never been to Selhurst Park, but it does look a smallish ground. And if it does become an aerial battle, you just never know with Everton. That's their strength. But the way Crystal Palace are playing, you've got to fancy them.
It tells you something about the Everton side when the goalkeeper's becoming man of the match.
Yeah.
So he's keeping them in as far as he can, but just not enough for that team.
Yeah, they're in serious trouble, Everton. A couple of goal difference above the relegation zone. On to the next page, we've got Leicester City Wolves. Leicester, Steve, 1 draw and 10. This is a major game for them. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is not an easy game now. I mean, Leicester, you know, might have looked at this a few weeks ago and thinking, oh, this is the game we need to win. Wolves are playing a lot better.
Yeah.
You know, they're making it hard for teams. Costa had a good game last week. I think for me, I can't see Wolves losing this. Leicester are fairly desperate. They played well second half against City, but City took all the big names off. And were just, you know, it was almost like a bit of a training exercise for them. You know, they could have come unstuck because Leicester did have chances, but in that first half, they were completely blown away. And I think that they're in a bit of trouble. They can't afford to lose this, but I'm not sure that they've got enough firepower at the moment to win it.
Yeah. Diego Costa, Gav, playing well? No, you don't like him, man?
I can't have Diego. He's, I mean, he was lucky last week. He had a bad touch on the ball, ricocheted back, and then you claim it. But sometimes that's your turning point for you as a striker. You just need a little bit of luck. But, I don't know, drawn 2, lost 2 of their last 4 away games. Leicester have lost all their home games. For me, it looks like maybe a draw will be this game. Yeah. But the form team is Wolves. They have shown a lot of improvement the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, tough one. Leicester needing the result. Like I said last week, they had a couple of players that got injured at the wrong time. And I think they still got 1 or 2 on the bench. I'm going to go for the draw.
You like a draw? I think there's goals in this. You know, Leicester, there's always goals in their games. They can't defend, and I think they're always likely to score. But of the 2 teams, I don't see Wolves losing. Maybe wrong, but be sad to see Leicester go back, but get relegated. But they've hardly bought anybody, and they've lost Brendan Rodgers, and they're in serious trouble. Steve, Liverpool, Notts Forest. Monday night, Liverpool look like their old self. Is that a flash in the pan, or Is this the start of their...
When you think that they hadn't won since the United game, so in between, you know, their performances. Although to be fair, last weekend that second half they were superb against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, Forest away, you know, got the worst away record in the division. Liverpool are hard to beat at home. On paper, you can't see past a comfortable home win, but Forest are desperate. They haven't won in a while now, and they've sucked right back into the relegation zone now. I can see Liverpool winning this. You know, Liverpool still want to have a bit of a late run to see if they can get a European spot. Top four's beyond them, I think, but certainly a Europa spot might not be if they could put a few wins together. So I fancy a fairly convincing home win.
Yeah,
I think United went to Forest and actually toyed with them with what I thought was an average performance from United. So I can't see Forest travelling to Liverpool and getting a result. I think Klopp must be sitting in the change room at the end of some of these games thinking, how did we lose? How did we draw this game? When you win 6 and you win 7, it's just a confusing season for him. But I think you've probably set them down and said to him, right, we've got a goal to reach. If we want to get into Europe, we need to win X amount of games. And I think this is one of the games that's penciled in as a 3-pointer. Yeah. So I think Liverpool, you can fill your boots. I think they'll get 4 or 5, I think. Yeah,
I think if you are going to have a bet in this, look at the Liverpool home goals on. I saw 8.5 to 10 to score over 2.5 goals. So I think that's the right way to go. Obviously in your multiples, but 1 to 6 isn't, you know, that's crazy. I would never back them. But just looking at the top 4, Steve, Liverpool are 9 points behind Newcastle with 8 games to go. So they have a slight chance, but it is possible. The next game, crucial game also at the bottom, Bournemouth, West Ham. Steve, how do you see it going?
Well, Bournemouth, I think, has surprised everybody. I mean, that was a huge result last weekend.
Sure.
You know, Tottenham got back in it, and then, you know, Richarlison misses a chance to win the game. They go straight upfield and score a winner. That isn't, you know, I think West Ham are not going to enjoy going to Bournemouth. It's a very tight ground. Yeah. And I think after playing on, you know, tonight, I think Bournemouth are going to be fairly confident. But I think I can see West Ham getting something there. I can see that being a draw. I think West Ham defended very well at Fulham. You know, played very well against Arsenal. I think that they realise they're in a bit of a scrap, but I think they've got enough about them. And I think a draw will probably, you know, suit both teams because they just start to pull away slowly.
Gav?
Yeah, I was very impressed with Bournemouth last week. I think they really showed character. Of the teams that were in the relegation battle and the scrap, they're the ones that put their hand up and said, right, we're going to have a go. And it showed in their performance. They never laid down. They wanted to win the game and, it caught them at the break right in the death. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I'm gonna put my neck out and say Bournemouth will win this game. I think West Ham coming off the European campaign, which I think they're going to get a result tonight, might just take the edge off them for the weekend. Yeah. And I'm hoping Bournemouth can climb the ladder even higher. And I think they jumped to about 14th or something in the league. So 1-2 results and you can climb the ladder quickly. Yeah, if I'm going to have a bet, I would back Bournemouth to score first. I saw even money be round about that price. I think West Ham, they have started sluggishly the last couple of games. So that would be my game, my play. I think there will be goals. But both teams are up for the fight, so the draw looks likely, but it wouldn't surprise me either way, whichever got the result. And last but not least, Steve, the biggest game of the weekend in the Premiership, Newcastle-Tottenham. How do you see it going? Yeah, I mean, you know, the bookies have obviously got, you know, Newcastle to be clear favourites. I'm not sure it's going to be quite as straightforward as that. I think Tottenham must be smarting. You know, they can't afford to lose again, Tottenham. You know, otherwise they start to fall behind, you know, the third and fourth spot. I think this will be a close game. I think, you know, for me, I think this is probably, you know, this really could go either way. I mean, Newcastle at home are strong, we know, but I think Tottenham, you know, must be smarting after that defeat. I think if Conte can't get them to play better and tighter at the back, then I don't think they're going to make top 4 if they lose this. So, you know, I think Newcastle probably do deserve to start as favourites, but I can see Tottenham haven't got a bad record up there. Yeah. I can see Tottenham maybe getting something. Gav, how do you see it? Well, first going to say, for Spurs to get a result, Laff must stop going over to watch them. I think he's gone over 5 times, lost 5 times. Yeah. Newcastle, for me, last week were outplayed completely by an Aston Villa team. Completely outplayed. And I didn't really see that result coming. But Newcastle at home with their passionate crowd, I think that they've got this game. I think there's just something that Spurs team, it's a soft belly they've got.
Yeah.
I think Newcastle will expose it, and I think Newcastle at 8-10 will win this game.
Yeah, like it. I don't know. I've just got my doubts. I've watched their first half against Brentford. They should have been 3-0 down. They were only one that got out of jail. Tony missed a penalty. Last week, they got exposed. They have no pace between the two centre halves. Watkins and them was going past them. I can't trust Spurs. I thought 31-10 is a great price. So I've gone for goals. I think there'll be plenty of goals in this game. You know, Newcastle at home always score, but I fancy Spurs to grab a couple. So 21-10, Spurs to score over 1.5 goals. But I went 15-10, over 2.5 goals. Both teams to score, yes. Both teams have to have a go at it. Champions League place on the line. And there's a few clubs, in behind queuing up for that battle. So this could go either way, in my opinion. FA Cup, Steve. Man City to win outright 6-10, 7-2 Man United, 4-1 Brighton, 33-1 Sheffield United. Is there any possibility Sheffield United can upset Man City?
Well, I think it would. City would have to have a really off day, and you know, Pep will rotate, I'm sure, but I don't think he'll rotate to the point that he's putting out literally 11 reserves. So I think you know, we'll see. You know, a few of those players on the bench last night, like Mahrez, Foden, you know, they'll be back in, but you know, they're still stronger. Sheffield United have got a very good young player this year, McAtee, who's on loan from City. He can't play. He scored that winner again. He scored the winner in the last round. You know, I think it's a great day out for Sheffield United fans. They've got their eye on promotion, and they need
couple of
whatever
points,
it is, 5 points from 4 games now or something to go up. So I think that they'll enjoy it, but this is not their main focus. So I think for me, I don't think it'll be a classic, but I think City will do enough to win.
Gav, can Sheffield United score? I
don't think so, Budgie. I don't think the gulf between the two teams is so big.
Yeah.
They will definitely come with some passion and make a day of it. The fans will be behind them. City have to make some substitutes. They're not going to play a full squad, so that might give an opportunity. But I can see City should be getting about 3-0 up and then just toying with them.
Yeah. The only thing I see with this game is Man City play Arsenal in the league decider on Wednesday. And having played Wednesday at Bayern Munich, he's going to rotate. He's going to play. It won't surprise me if he makes 8 or 9 changes for this game. You know, I think it will alter the flow, but you've got to think they'll win by 2 or 3 clear goals. So I don't know, you know, great day out, as Steve said, for Sheffield United, but I think there's bigger fish to fry with them, but Man City, certainties. The other game, Steve, crucial game, Brighton, Man United, 14-10 Brighton. Is it a good bet, Steve?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I mean, they are playing some superb football. Yeah. You know, they're dominating the ball in pretty much every game they play. Yeah. Completely outplayed Chelsea last week. United, look, are going to have to play a very strong side to get through tonight at Seville, and they've got to play, you know, the strongest available side again at the weekend. I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk for United. I think Brighton could upset the apple cart. You know, it's going to be I think it's going to be closer than the betting shows, and unless Brighton freeze on the big day, you know, United have played Wembley a lot, you know, Brighton haven't. So you know, and I remember well that you know, that final going back in '83. You know, the first one was a great day out, great final. But you know, I think, you know, if Brighton play with the same freedom as they have recently, I think they could upset the apple cart a little bit. But you just wonder, United semi-finals, they got a great record.
Yeah. Gav?
This is a tough game, Budge. I'm very worried about this game. I think Brighton won 5, drew 3, lost 1 of their last 8 games. I mean, they're a really good outfit this year. They play really good football. So I'm worried for United this weekend. You know, we're going to play a team tonight, and then that same squad, I think, is going to go into the semi-final on Sunday. But yeah, tough game for United. I'm really worried about this weekend's game. I leaned a little bit to Brighton, but then I think, you know, you're a Man United supporter, you can't do that. I'm really worried about this one. If we get through, I'll be so happy. I mean, the rest of the world is wanting a Manchester derby, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a great game.
Yeah, well, I took 27-1 Brighton to win the FA Cup, so I'm sitting on the fence here which way I want it to go. But
I'm sure this weekend.
Yeah, it just depends, as you say, Steve. Yeah, United have the experience, you know, but Brighton have got some good midfield players, and I've always believed you've got a good midfield, you can dictate games, and they've done that all season. It wouldn't surprise me whichever way it went. But of the two teams, I prefer Brighton. Steve, onto the championship where, I hate to say it, my Preston boys have blown it after their last two results. But the first game we start off is Birmingham-Blackpool. How do you see it going?
Yeah, Birmingham had a big win the other day and the other night, a big win. And Blackpool, you know, I think it's almost curtains for them. I just can't see them picking up those wins to try and catch the teams above. I think Birmingham, you know, are going to win this. For me, I think it's going to be a comfortable home win.
11-10, best bet of the weekend for me. Bristol City also a fancy to beat Rotherham. Steve, do you agree?
I do, yeah. I mean, Rotherham certainly put up a great fight last week against Burnley, but I think that Bristol City will be too strong. Yeah,
Burnley win this game and they clinch the championship. I think this is a 2-3 goal victory, especially the way QPR are going, even though they had a good result last night. How do you see it, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, look, I was watching, I saw some highlights and saw the report. Norwich completely battered QPR for most of the game, and, you know, probably very disappointed they only came away with a draw, but it's a big result for QPR because at one point they were sitting in the bottom three.
Yeah.
But I can't see anything other than a comfortable Burnley win. They're going to want to wrap up the title, and barring some sort of miracle, I think that they're going to win comfortably.
Yeah.
So they'll win the league, and it's quite likely that QPR could drop back into the bottom three with only 2 games to go after the weekend.
Yeah, Burnley to win by more than 1 goal, even money. Cardiff City, great result last night, beating your brother's team. Watford against the Stoke team who have cost me money. There's goals in this, Steve, but I'd hate to select a winner. Of the two, who do you fancy?
Well, I mean, that was a big result for Cardiff. I mean, they found themselves 1 down early on. Came back with 3 goals in 10 minutes, giving themselves a real lifeline because they were very close to the bottom. I think that they're going to look at that and think they can get a result again. You know, they've certainly they've been very inconsistent, but they've won the big games that they've had to. Stoke have really got nothing to play for. They're not going down. They're not getting anywhere near the playoffs. I think Cardiff should be favourites for that. Okay,
key game, top and bottom. Coventry City against Reading. Coventry, 1 defeat in 14, but 7 draws. I don't see Reading upsetting them here, Steve. How do you see it?
No, I'd be surprised. I mean, Coventry, I thought the game had ended. It was 1-0 to Blackburn, and then I heard that the goalkeeper scored the equaliser in the 95th minute. Big result because it keeps them sort of up there. Reading, you know, Andy Carroll has let them down a couple of times this season.
Yeah.
He scored the goal. He handballed the ball into the net to make it 2-0. Referee saw it and booked him for the second time and sent him off.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that cost them because Luton got back in the game and they were hanging on at the end. I think this is a tough game for Reading. You know, I think I think they do very well to get a point here.
Yeah, I agree. Hull City, Watford. Watford, I just can't catch. Hull City, hard to beat at home. Your man Rossini has done a good job there, Steve. Of the two, I like Hull City, but how do you see it?
Yeah, I think sort of Watford have probably just about blown their chances now with that defeat. You know, I think that, again, Hull City got nothing to play for. They were winning at Middlesbrough, playing quite well by all accounts, and then got hit with a 3-goal salvo. I think that Hull would probably start as favourites at home for this one.
Okay, Norwich City 1 win and 8 against a Swansea team who have won 5 out of 6 and thrashed my Preston boys last night. I like Swansea of the two teams here, Steve. How do you see it?
Well, they seem to be, since they've sort of dropped out of the playoff race, they're playing some of their best football of the season, Swansea. And I know they were 3 up last night, took the foot off the gas a bit, but Norwich are going to be smarting because they really needed those points last night.
Yeah.
I think this is their last chance, Norwich, to get themselves right up in the mix. I think that they might just be a little bit too strong for Swansea, but then Swansea plays some nice football. I think it'll be a very entertaining game. Of the two, I think Norwich might edge it, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if Swansea hold them.
Okay, Millwall, poor result in midweek against the Wigan team who upset the apple cart. Can there be another upset?
Well, look, Millwall have been very, still hanging on in there in the playoff place, mainly because of others are dropping points. But Wigan, I can't see Wigan staying up now. I think that they're just a little bit too far adrift. Millwall can't afford to slip up here. I think they will get a result. I think they'll just edge it. Okie
dokie. Our final 3 games. Steve Preston, my boys. Yeah, we are going well in 7s, 2 poor results. Blackburn hanging on to the playoff places. There will be goals, Steve, but which way do you see it going?
Yeah, well, look, there's only between 5th and 12th. There's only
a couple of points,
3 points. So I think Preston, as you say, they have slipped up, but a win, takes them right back up there. Blackburn Blackburn can be caught. They had a chance of pulling away from some of the teams.
Yeah.
I think this will be a close game. It's a derby. It's a Lancashire derby. I think there'll be a big crowd, and I can sort of see them cancel each other out. I don't think a draw helps Preston.
Yeah.
It will probably suit Blackburn more.
Okie dokie. West Brom, Sunderland, 2 teams edging back into the promotion race. How do you see it?
Well, West Brom, who looked as if they were sort of starting to fall away, and find themselves now on the edge of the playoff race with a game in hand.
Yeah.
They win this, West Brom, and they really are back in it. I think they've slipped up. I mean, they had that game against QPR and threw it away. Sunderland are scoring goals. I mean, that's the one thing they do, but they concede as well. I think West Brom might just edge this, but I think there'll be goals in it.
Yeah, over 2.5 goals, even money. Get on. And last but not least, Monday night, Luton Middlesbrough, 3rd versus 4th. Could be a playoff final, Steve, but which way do you see it going?
Yeah, very much so. I think it'll be a good game. I mean, neither are going to catch Sheffield United now, I think, and therefore they're sort of playing for position.
Yeah.
I think Borough, they've come back strong in the last 2 games, scored 8 goals. I think that they will be maybe a little bit too strong for Luton, but Luton could hold them, but I can't see Borough losing.
Okie dokie. Steve, pressure time as well. You're in good form. Your best bet and value bet, please.
Well, I'm going to go for, I think you mentioned I'm going for Birmingham as my best bet.
Yeah, I thought so.
And my value bet, I'm going to go for Villa. I think 19-10, the way they're playing. I think it will be a tight game, but I think if there was to be a winner, I think Villa for me.
All right. My value bet's Napoli. I was impressed with what I saw against the Juventus team. 15.5-10. I've dived in already. Hope I haven't burnt my money, but that's my play, Steve. But Steve, as always, thank you very much, and we'll speak over the weekend.
Pleasure.
All the best, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers. Bye, Gav.
Bye.
Okay, on to the PSL, where we had a good game in midweek. Maruma Gallets 0, Supersport 0. I watched a lot of it. Both Maruma Gallets in CAF Champions League, our Confederations Cup action on Sunday. Dylan Kerr's got them buzzing. That was a good game. Did you see it, Gav?
I just saw some of the highlights. I saw some of the chances missed in the game. Penalties, shots at goal. That's South African football for you.
Maruma Gallants, good to watch. Dylan's got them buzzing. Anyway, Friday night, Maritzburg United, bottom of the league against Richards Bay. Gav, how do you see it?
Yeah, do or die game for Maritzburg, but I will give them the home ground advantage.
Yeah.
Richards Bay just gone off the boil a little bit, so I'm going to go for Maritzburg United.
Yeah, Maritzburg lost 5 out of 6. Richards Bay 9 in a row. I watched Richards Bay lose to Pirates. They played well, but they're just battling to score. Talking of Pirates, at home to Cape Town City.
Well, this is a tough game for them. You would think Pirates at home would be the right result here. But Cape Town City playing really well, gave Sundowns a run for their money, got the result. So that's a feather in their cap, and they really put an effort in. But you would lean towards Pirates. Yeah,
especially Landa Stadium. They don't get beat there too often. TS Galaxy, Royal AM. I like TS Galaxy, but they've let me down in the past, so the draw's my call. But I don't see TS Galaxy getting beat. How do you see it?
Game, one of those games in South African football where the draw's a big runner. I would lean towards the draw in this game.
Okay, Stellenbosch versus Swallows.
Both teams in and out of form. They both shown at 11th versus 14th, so they're mid-table teams. 1-2 drew, 1 lost, 1. That's Stellenbosch.
Yep.
Stellenbosch at home. Pirates don't travel. Swallows don't travel that well. Yep. So I'm going to lean towards Stellenbosch.
Yeah, they played each other in the cup earlier, and Stellenbosch beat them 3-0, and they're on form. They beat. How can you not back them, Gav? They beat Sundowns in the cup last week. Didn't see that coming. Only if they cock a hoop, but knowing Steve Barker, he'll have them work. So I fancy Stellenbosch of the two sides. Sekhukhune against Chiefs. Chiefs Only one defeat in the last 8 away from home. That was against Lesotho here. Sekhukhune, you just never know.
Yeah, you never know with these teams, but it's their cup final when Chiefs come to town.
Yeah.
So it'll be a tough game for Chiefs. They have to play well to win these games. 12-10. We wouldn't say it's really an away game because all the games are in Johannesburg.
Chiefs,
they've got such a big fan base, but you would lean towards Chiefs.
Yeah, playing well too. SuperSport United, they're now playing at Taki Stadium against an AmaZulu team who I just can't catch, Gav.
Yeah, I can't catch them either, Budgie. I mean, they were getting beat properly, I think, a week ago, and they salvaged a draw 2-2. So they got a little bit of fight in them, but SuperSport, the way they played, I mean, they missed a lot of chances and a penalty during the week. Yeah. I'm leaning towards SuperSport. I think it's a good bet.
All right. On to our exotics, and we kick off with our Score 6, our KZN bet on Saturday, and I'm going Fulham win and draw against Leeds United. I'm going the field in the Brentford-Aston Villa game. I don't see Crystal Palace losing at home to Everton. Leicester and Wolverhampton, that could go either way, so I'm going the field there and ending up with 2 bankers. Liverpool to beat Notts Forest and Real Madrid to beat Celta Vigo. Our other Soccer 6, I'm going Sisulu to avoid defeat at Salernitana. The field in the TS Galaxy Royal AM clash. I don't see Orlando Pirates losing at home against Cape Town City. I'm chancing Stellenbosch to be too good at home against Swallows. The field in the CR Belouizdad Mamelodi Sundowns CAF Champions League game. And Man City should be too good for Sheffield United, 2-1-6. On to our Score 10 for the weekend. I'm going Fulham win and draw against Leeds. Aston Villa to avoid defeat at Brentford. Crystal Palace, home win and draw against Everton. I'm going for Wolverhampton to avoid defeat at Leicester City. Liverpool look obvious bankers to beat Notts Forest. Onto the second page, I'm going Norwich City in a difficult game, win and draw at home against Swansea City. Man City, that should be banker to beat Sheffield United. I'm going Preston North End, win and draw against Blackburn Rovers. Real Sociedad, I think they'll be too good at home against Rayo Vallecano. And Real Madrid, if ever there's going to be an upset after the Champions League exploits in midweek, I've thrown the draw in against Celta de Vigo, 256. On to the Soccer 13, I'm banking Liverpool to beat Notts Forest. Wolves win and draw at Leicester City. Aston Villa win and draw at Brentford. Crystal Palace to be too good at home against Everton, siding with Birmingham City to beat Blackpool. Bristol City to win at home against Rotherham United. Going for Stoke City, win and draw at Cardiff City. Onto our second page, I'm going for Coventry to beat Reading. Hull City win and draw against Watford. Norwich City win and draw at home against Swansea City, as well as Preston North End win and draw at home against Blackburn Rovers. I'm going for Millwall to beat Wigan. And Elfsborg win and draw at home away from home against Degerfors in the Swedish Alvenstan match, 256 Rand. On to our Budgie's bets for the weekend. I'm going over 2.5 goals, both teams to score no in the Arsenal-Southampton game. Over 2.5 goals, both teams to score yes in the Bournemouth-West Ham and Newcastle-Tottenham game, 3,200. My team goal sides, I'm going Arsenal and Liverpool to both score over 2.5 goals, and Aston Villa and Tottenham to both score over 1.5 goals, 4,800 to 200. On to the Championship, I'm going Birmingham City to beat Blackpool, Bristol City to beat Rotherham, and over 2.5 total goals in the West Brom Sunderland and Luton Town Middlesbrough games, 3,000 to 200. Both teams to score sides are Cardiff City Stoke City, Norwich City Swansea City, Preston Blackburn, and Monday night's game Luton Town against Middlesbrough, 2,400 to 200. This week I brass the Spanish and I'm going to Italy where I think Lazio will beat Torino. My best value bet at 15-10, Napoli to beat Juventus. And both teams to score in the Hellas Verona Bologna and Udinese Cremonese game, 3,200 to 200. And our Collis King 6 on Ixa, I'm going Arsenal to beat Southampton, Liverpool to beat Notts Forest, Birmingham City to beat Blackpool, Burnley to beat QPR, Real Sociedad to beat Rayo Vallecano, and Napoli to beat Juventus, 3,500 to 200. Gav, you've never been shy to have a bet?
But this weekend I'm going for Fulham. I'll go with Stevie's boys. I think they played well last week to deserve a chance to win this week against Leeds and Crystal Palace, who are in form. So I think it's 11, 13 to 10. So you have a nice 5-1 double.
Oh, well, good luck. Guys, thank you very much for listening. And please remember to stay on side.